Hi and welcome everyone. Lisa here for Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for taking the time to join me. So today I am sharing another throwback video with you. Now this is from February 2020. This was one of my very first design team projects with Whimsy Stamps. It is the Candy Mouse clear stamp set. He is so adorable. And I also used the Speckled Heart Stencil. So I thought it would be fun if I shared this video here on the Whimsy Stamps channel for those of you who haven't seen it. And we're just going to jump right into this. And you have to remember this was from a year ago. So have fun. To get started, I've placed a piece of 80-pound smooth cardstock into my MISTI. Now I'm going to stamp this image using Memento ink in the color Tuxedo Black. I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring with this image, and then I'm going to come in and add some shading with colored pencils. You're going to see me stamp this twice. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any areas the first time through. So now I'm going to go ahead and start coloring with the Copic markers, and I'm using N0, and then I'm going to follow that with N2 and N4 just to add a little bit of shading. Now, by no means am I great at coloring, but I can tell you this. I have fun with it and it's very relaxing. So no matter what your skill level, just enjoy the process. I'm adding R01 to his ears and then blend that out with R00. I color his little nose and tongue using R20 and the inside of his mouth with R32. The stem of the cherry, I'm using R59 and R29. And for the candies, I used E25, E27, and E33. And for the icing on the candies, I used R29, R59, and R81. Now here I'm coming in with those polychromos to darken some areas up. I find it a little bit easier because the tip of the pencil is finer than the marker, and it's much easier for me to get into those real small areas. So all I do is come in with a shade or two darker than my Copic color to add into the little tiny areas just to add some shading. So here's this cutie all colored up and waiting to be put on a card, but I decided I wanted to add a little sparkle to the candy since it's Valentine's, and I'm going to be using Wow embossing powders in the colors Hot Gossip and Clear Sparkle. So I laid down anti-static powder. I'm using my VersaMarker pen to trace the areas I want to heat emboss. Since I'm using two colors, I only trace a few of the candies, add my first embossing powder, and then I go back, trace the rest of the candies, and cover those with that clear sparkle embossing glitter. And then I heat set them all at one time. So now I've already gone ahead and set up the Speckled Heart Stencil by adding a piece of washi tape to hold it in place with a piece of 80-pound smooth cardstock under it. And I'm just going to use this VersaColor pigment ink in the colors pink and Cardinal and an ink dauber to create an ink blended background. So I start by blending the pink all over the stencil and then adding the Cardinal in the center and going back with that pink to blend it out a little bit more. Now I'm loving this stencil because you can actually use it to add a fun polka dot pattern, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. So when I lifted the stencil, I was like, hello, gorgeous. Look at all those pretty pink polka dots. I love polka dots. So I have a strip of pink cardstock here, and I am going to use that to stamp our sentiment. So I add some anti-static powder. I go ahead and stamp the Got Candy sentiment, and then I'm going to cover that with ultrafine white embossing powder. And I'm going to take the time to actually clean this up with a brush to remove any stray embossing powder that may be left behind. I want a nice, clean, heat embossed sentiment there. Then I'm going to go ahead and heat set it. So I decided that I wanted to add a few polka dots to it. So I'm going to use the Speckled Heart Stencil and I'm going to lay it over the sentiment strip and then just use that same ink dauber and stencil a few polka dots on both sides of the sentiment. I love the way this turns out. It's super easy and it pulls everything together. Added foam strips to the back of the sentiment, mounting foam to the back of the mouse. I trimmed that strip down using my paper trimmer and then adhered it to the lower part of the card, and I'm going to place the mouse right above it to let that strip ground that image. I decided that I was going to use some on-point glue to add bubblegum confetti to finish off this card. And here's this cutie ready for Valentine's. My first Valentine card for 2020. Okay, guys, so here is a quick color guide for you. If you want to pause and do a screenshot, feel free to. You can also head over to my website where I have this in the blog post for this video, along with a step-by-step tutorial. As always, know how much I appreciate you joining me. The links are in the description box below. Until next time, take care.